I was sitting up watching the septuplets. Some of it was kind of funny and some of it was a little boring, but those are the Whinings brothers. Not a big fan of them at all. Hi, prayers. Hello. I was up watching some movies and taking care of something, so I was like, well, I'm still not sleepy. Maybe I'll come on and kind of click and see what was going on out there. Hi, Harlem. How you doing? Yeah. I don't know if it's too late to get into anything, or maybe it is. So I just thought about maybe I'll just click on here when you want to click on some things and hear what's going on. And I clicked on it and hurry up and clicked right back off and said, you know what, I'm going to see who's up this late over here on the One Papoose channel that is subscribed. And come in. I'd rather just talk to you guys and laugh with you guys, because the first thing that came up in my times line on this damn shit was something about some damn baby killer. I hurried up and clicked off that voodoo shit. I was like, nope, not gonna do it. You know what? Man, if somebody want to sit up and reminisce about something that happened 30 years ago, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. I mean, if I'm going to feel bad about anything, yeah, it would actually be the pandemic that grabbed my dad's life last year. Be May 3rd this year, be 1 year. So if I'm going to be voodooed up and hypnotized by the BS of something of 30 years ago, you got to be smoking some type of crack. I don't know. What get me is how, I don't know, it's like they be so mad when you don't see eye to eye with them, or if you didn't align yourself up with the team or some stuff. That I'm trying to figure out their angle, the angle of madness. The, so yeah, Harlem, I hurried up and clicked off that stuff, and then I'm sitting there. I think I saw a few people, with hi Shannon. I saw a few people, they was over there like they was in a serious a congregation bigger than Louis Farrakhan. They was amen and thank what? Huh? I, I said, whoop pal, if you don't get your ass off this hypnotic ass shit here, baby, I just can't do it. You know how when your spirit be like, I mean, if it's that bad about a baby, go on out there to the burial site and he can sit his ass out there and take some flowers and light some candles or do something. Then I think he tried to equate with if it was something about my grandchild or my this or my that. I'm like, well, I could tell you the 20, 30 years later, if it was mine, I'm still going to move on with my life. And I'm definitely not going to align it to anything of a current situation, such as my cousin. Talking about how I'm still, I would have to sit here and figure out how is it with me using the death of a human 20, 30 years ago is still going to help Mr. Kelly. I'm still trying to figure that out. What he plan on doing? Taking his grievances and going up in the courtroom with the what you call it, the deceased. You gonna dig them up and take them in the courtroom to prove your case? What are you gonna do with all of that? It just makes no sense to me. Sometimes they say, well, not sometimes, they say God put no more on you than you can bear. Well, I'm starting to beg to differ in that, because somebody putting something on him that he can't bear. He just done went berserk with that dang story. Hi, Joy. Hi, Beauty. What up, girl? I couldn't sleep. I was up watching Sextuplets. It was a crazy. I mean, some of it was funny, but then some of it is like it's a overkill. It was like a overkill or something. I'm like, okay, glad I didn't pay money for this. I don't like overkill movies. I like it to be authentic humor. And they write the script to it, and they was like, well, we gotta put this part in it to make it really, really funny. And it's like, no, not really. Just be funny about it. So I don't know. Hey, Brenda. I didn't expect for you guys to be up. I really didn't. I was just gonna sit here and talk to the handful that come in here. And in case you kind of miss what I was saying, is that I'm not sleepy yet, so I thought I'll click on here and you see what's up in your timeline down through the thread. And I was like, oh, okay, Brady in the bunch is on, so let me see, kind of what he's preaching tonight. And you click on it, and sure enough, it's about a deceased child again. And I'm sitting here going, well, wait a minute now. I can get into this paperwork that clearly says Jennifer Bonjean rebuttal in her motion pertaining to the situation of the previous attorneys that Mr. Kelly has. And in that paperwork, doesn't mention anything about YouTube people and their feelings caused a bunch of distractions, or is the reason why Mr. Kelly's situation is where it is, as far as the delays of responding to motions, as far as what attorney, in my opinion, allegedly was pretty much set up by some people by bringing out the Nicole Becker situation. I think that she was set up with that, just allegedly. Jennifer Bonjean responds in her paperwork. It clearly says that there were ineffective counselors defending Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. She didn't go quite into a bunch of details of how it was caused. She just knows that something caused a horrible distractions with the attorneys that he previously had. She didn't say whether if it was a bunch of terrorism activity that distracted these people. She didn't even mention in the paperwork whether if attorney Greenberg was sent in, or who he was aligned to, or where Daryl Johnson came from, and Michael Avenatti. She didn't even get to talk about the Gayle King show, whereas he, or it was said that Greenberg was at the Gayle King show with Daryl Johnson, but he was there, and everybody knows when you have a defense attorney that you may feel that you had hired the best to represent you, that when you're sitting down in a situation like that, that shouldn't have not been Daryl Johnson. His attorney should have been sitting right next to him so that he can appropriately answer the questions that he could answer, so that anything will not be held against him in the public eyes to help pursue the slander of what they did to him in social media. So his attorney should have been there. Hello, everybody. He's not talking about how all of these distracted people came about and link themselves to distract, to destroy Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly's case from the beginning. I believe that there's maybe two people that really kind of put their neck on the line, that brought out, in my opinion, the truth about this Barney and the Barney and Bearless circus act out here. Let me see. What you say, beauty? I gotta go back up. I cannot hang with you and one more person. I will remain. But y'all got me cutting up in the comments section of Shabbat. Well, when I say a circus act, beauty, you can pretty much add his name in there as well. You know, let's look at the picture like this. Think of the circus and think of the lions, how they would have them sitting up on those pedestals in the cage, and then you have the one guy in the middle, which is the trainer, right? With the whip, you know. Just think of it that way. That's kind of how I feel like the person that you named is acting now, right? It's like, okay, you guys have all done your part. Now sit down, because it's time for me to bring my part out. What I like about this whole situation, and I always say that if I choose to do so, yeah, I can put together one hell of a graph. I can. I just choose to not do it. I just choose to not do it. Because you can see where, if you make that choice to try to come out to be knowledgeable about the Mr. Kelly situation, at a drop of a dime, these circus people will definitely try to merge you into something that you know is not true. They've made it difficult for anybody to fight them because it is so many angles. they've hit this distraction of Mr. Kelly's case in so many angles. One thing that I can say is that they're what Jennifer Bunjane calls in the motions. They all are bad characters. You say, oh, it wasn't. It was from someone from the pet from the COVID. Well, you're going to have to text it to me. I don't know who you're talking about. There's so many of them. You say the case is making tractions. Tariq Nasheed is saying R. Kelly needs to be free. That's excellent news, Native. That's excellent news. Yay, I look and I see people saying things, and it's a lot of good things being said. I think one of the moments that all of us could be waiting for or would pray on it is that the main media. I would love to hear the main media start talking about, what a lot of us are seeing. Mm-hmm. I've never been, let me tell you, after Drunken Larry came out, you can just see the plug and play. You can see the plug and play. And to watch a lot of people like you guys with the common sense, or even like the thoughts, it's like you can tell the people who is thinking what the good people or the right people are thinking as they start plugging and playing it. You can basically see it. But as innocent bystanders, such as myself and a lot of you guys, you just kind of got to watch it, right? Because we don't have no power and authority to go in there to say anything. Hi, Cassandra. So, yeah, I was, you watch the plug and play. You kind of don't want to be so fast at pointing a finger at this person and pointing a finger at that person like a person does out here, And then when you do that, you look suspicious as well, because you have to ask yourself, one main question, in my opinion, you guys, is how do you people all know this stuff? Like, how do you people know all of these things, But that's where I started, with between, other than the other guy that you guys know that I talk about. Well, you know what? Because I don't do subliminal, I'm going to say the other things that Bookham talks about on his way out here in the streets. And, I mean, hi, Lisa. They were just dropping out here like flies. Nobody not knowing where they come. They're all got too much extensive details that is so irrelevant, in my opinion, to Mr. Kelly's case. That's a red flag for me. I don't know how it sits for you guys, but it's definitely a red flag for me. Too many. What, these people got way more details coming out their mouths than Mr. Kelly ever spoke about. How are you, Lisa? So that's a red flag for me, coming from a man that I have seen and watched numerous interviews with him, and you can tell where he knows when to talk and what to not talk. He knows, I don't want to say dumbfounded, but he absolutely knows on parts of his life, his lifestyle that he chooses to tell. But then we sit out here, and I mean, it is so many of them that wants to tell his story. It is so many, it's way too many. Hear me, you guys, that wants to be of a defense for him. As if this man's story just begun like yesterday. And I can sit here and talk about the character of each and every last one of them, but that's not why I'm here. I can't fix Mr. Kelly's situation by calling out their names or what I think about these circus clown people. I'm just sometimes, with not knowing Mr. Kelly, I'm saddened for him. I'm really saddened for him because of learning that what these people that we are seeing on these YouTube streets, that it can happen to you. You know what I'm saying? It can happen to you. But to click on here and to hear, because I don't know who he was talking about. I don't know, and I'm not going to stress to even guess who he was talking about. I don't know. He didn't say a name, and they subliminals over there for some apparent reason. I don't know, but he continues to speak about this big grievance that he is 58 pages or some that he wants to write up, or he has written up, and apparently it's going to make one hell of a difference in a case that it's nearing the end. Still a little ways to go, but it's nearing the end. But he wants to equate it with YouTube behavior, people on YouTube, and the incident of a deceased child, where I don't care if I hit myself upside the head with a hammer. It just doesn't make sense to do. But in his situation, he feels that would be the best route to keep talking about that, or place upon him this surprisingly anger about Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, because, in my opinion, people doubt him as a cousin. So I think that he's infuriated about that. And I believe that I hear where, some erratic behavior is going on. That's erratic behavior, like right there. But it's all fun and giggles. It's fun and giggles. That's totally what you would describe as erratic behavior. I don't know, hypnosis either. So I really need to go upstairs and get the paper, because I don't feel like pulling it up, and I have it all printed out and highlighted. It's just so man, oh man, when I say it's nothing but plug and play, you guys, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. That's why I sit here and I do express that, boy, oh boy, and I pray that Mr. Kelly is not on the phone, or Mr. Kelly is not emailing like people he has not spoken to, you do not know, like, in years. You haven't heard from these people. You haven't. Read the letters and read the cards. And I pray that he do sit there and wait for Jennifer Bonjean to complete her process to have a new trial for him. And that's just my opinion about things, you know. When man, none of these people, none of them, I, I feel like they all have a part. They all have this crazy part of what they're doing. And you know, it's weird. And because I keep asking myself, like, why? You know, that's what I keep asking myself, like, why? Why? What is this all for? What is this to gain? And I can't fathom up an answer for it, you know? I really can't. You have, let me see, what was the other guy's name? I was speaking to a really good friend of mine, and I get it. A lot of people is just not in favor of the things that Don Russell has done. But when Mr. Kelly case started and Greenberg jumped aboard, you had that one guy over on Twitter who was really talking about Greenberg's resume, that Mezziner or something like that. I forget his name. I have to go on Twitter and go all the way back down his thread. And he was pretty much, you know, dropping dimes when it came to Greenberg. I was thinking that Donnell Russell wasn't the only one on the TV when they went to interview him. Greenberg also came out, I believe, like he was on Court TV or something like that. He did a interview on that, what was that EMG or EMD something radio or whatever. Yeah. But I went back to look at everything that pretty much had happened. And no matter how much Bookham can come out to pour salt and have people look at Darnell Russell in a bad way because of the phone call or because of the paperwork that he keeps going over and over and over. As a matter of fact, I think I want to do that piece of paperwork because it's only a paragraph. If y'all don't mind me doing that, you know, I'll do that. I'll do that one. But everything that he was saying from the beginning that we knew of before we had learned about the situation that occurred with the Lifetime thing, it came to light. It came to light. He said that, you know, he was ineffective. Said that he was not at that level to handle Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly's case. But no, that boy over there, he flipped that. He said that, you know, they had their little team out there to help raise the money to put an attorney in there, an effective one that can do the type of work that Mr. Kelly need, but it was going to cost quite a bit of money. He poured salt on that. And all I'm saying, because I'm not on nobody's team, all I'm saying is sometimes you really, really, really have to listen. You know, I did, not you guys. I really, really, really sat to listen to all of these stories that would come and contradict themselves. I do. Almost like, shame on you. To me, it turned out where, no, 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 you can't have the shine light. No, 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 you wasn't there. Who were you? To now, we wanted the shine light. So it's like, well, no, well, we want to, quote unquote, in my opinion, and allegedly have control over raising money or something. And, people will see us. We don't want them to see you. You're in the way, As far as I was concerned with that, is after hearing quite a bit from a lot of people about how Mr. Kelly, he speaks to people separately, never in a group. So I took that. I took that to the head, and I was thinking, well, that makes sense, But yet then, if that's the case, then how is it that one person is going to be able to tell you something about the other people when you and I and other people have watched the people that he talks about spend time around Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly? What I'm saying is, how would you know if there was a conversation with Mr. Kelly and Darnell Russell, or Mr. Kelly and this person, Cash Jones, or Mr. Kelly and this person? Like, how would you know that? How could you speak on something like that, They would not even know if Mr. Kelly had a conversation, allegedly, and this is just me speaking on it. Do I believe it? Hell no. I just don't. But how would those people know if Mr. Kelly told him something? I gotta go get the paperwork. It's upstairs on the kitchen table, because I was just reading it so that I can quote the paragraph that he likes to read about Donnell Russell. And I just have some who, what, when, where's, and why's on that paragraph. And until those get answered and it's verifiable, I won't address it anymore. You have to verify your shit, And a lot of them can't do it. If you choose to ask them certain questions, you'll see the belligerence come out of them. Bitter, you're going to get blocked. You're going to be this name called, or you're going to be stupid, and you're going to be, oh, you from the other side, get the F up out of here. You're going to get all of that. None of them will take on the 5 W's and actually give you an answer that can be verified. None of them will do it. They tap dance around everything if you challenge them precisely. They all do. Too extra with the story. And from what I've learned about Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, and you say you wouldn't need to be this extra. You wouldn't have all of these detailing sideline BS stories like that has absolutely no relevance to this man's case. Period. None. So I'm going to run upstairs so that I can read this paragraph pretty much close word to word. I'm not going to pull up the paperwork from it, but I'm just going to attack it with the who, what, when, where, and whys. That's it and that's all. I have the same paperwork that he displayed on his screen. You've done everything that you can possibly have done, pretty much to try to get a battle of words from Don Russell. He's done pretty much everything that he can do, and so far so good. Don Russell hasn't bitten the bait. The less they know, the more they'll stay puzzled, or he will. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, you know. And I ain't nobody's fan. I'm not nobody's fan. I'm my fan. That's who fan I am. If you can't keep yourself lifted up, then you shouldn't have the strength to be out here to keep anybody else up. So you have to keep yourself up. I'm my fan. That's who fan I am. But baby, I click on this stuff and the first thing I heard is something about, and I laugh with it, right? Because the first thing that comes into my mind is maturity, right? And once you've crossed that threshold of maturity, right? You don't sit up and dwell in the house of the devil to talk about something that was 20 years ago that had absolutely no effect on your life, and neither will it have on Mr. Kelly's or mine's or anybody's up in here. That was a situation 20 years ago that the deceased family had to go through. Not someone who has absolutely no bearings on their situation. How do you put people in their feelings over something or some people that they don't know? In what world do they do that in? And if that's the case, then I need to be out here pouring out my old pohard about my dad. Oh, he did this, and you know how this affected me, and I'm gonna make this affect you guys mentally. Oh yeah, and guess what? And then because they did it this way, and my dad died from the pandemic, this is affecting Mr. Kelly's life. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm just saying, you guys. I don't know how you guys feel like that. But I won't even let the devil in my heart, in my mind. And you mean to tell me that I'm going to let somebody who I believe with that type of story out here, trying to circumvent, equate it with what's going on with Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, use them devilish spiritual act on my brain? Are you? Where they do that at? Where they do that at? If you ask me, he'd have had a better shot telling some devastating news about him. You know what I'm saying? Not about somebody else. How are you gonna use somebody else's crutch to hold you up, to make relevancy, to equate a non-factor to a current situation that's going on now? It just makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's all I'm saying. So I could care less about the high pitch, the octave wave shock. That doesn't move me. Definitely trying to call me names and what you may feel about my particular educational level, I was still born with common sense. Whether if I didn't make it to a doctorate degree, well, I can't say associate, a PhD. One thing that I was taught by my parents is just, you do okay with your common sense. Because once you go out there and try to receive all of the knowledge, sometimes you can make a complete ass of yourself. So if I'm gonna have to be called stupid and retarded or illiterate and incomprehensible, then I'm gonna have to take that up with my parents. But right now, I'm gonna trust that they told me right. Watch out for them overly thinking people. Watch out for those. They'll try every slick, every oil that's ever been made out here to use. Slicksters. And that is one reason why you will have the majority of your people out here become hypocrites, criminals, scammers, etc., etc. A lot of them choose that road of life so that they can use it to do exactly what you're seeing out here. They don't suck in a lot of this knowledge to do productive achievements, like, for instance, becoming a president or becoming a doctor. You know, in that sense, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say lawyers, because after seeing the paper written up with ineffective counselors, we all can now see what the remedy, the outcome of being an attorney. An attorney is characters, actors. They're actors, you know. We've seen some defend some of the worst people out here, some of the worst murderers and, you know, and things. So we know how that they can get down. But my point is, a lot of people will consume as much education as they can to become worthless piece of shits. Period. All of the knowledge that they claim that they have, and the expertise in this, and the grievances writing up for this, you would rather sit there with all of that knowledge and write up a grievance of your allegations of people being or doing terrorism acts. Is this your only just cause that you have, that I find, which I would never concur to at all, because it has no relevancy in freeing Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. It absolutely has no fucking merit to it. Excuse my French. None. You may seem to think so, but I beg to differ. Accordingly to what I am reading up. Now, I'm going to put a however on there. However, if you're trying to say that, and this is a rewind moment, let's bag it up. Let's bag it up. Unless you're actually really trying to say that Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly's case was distorted by legal councilmen being terrorists. I'm just trying to decipher your struggle. I'm just trying to decipher who you really are calling these terrorism acts, because if I think of it that way, bye Lisa, are you calling the unethical, the counselors, all of the people that was coming in for the defense for Mr. Kelly, the terrorism? Which group of people are you pointing the finger at? Because I think that if you are pointing to the YouTube charades of people, I don't think you have no bearings on that. And here's the reason why I would deny and push that grievance right back to you to start it over again and bring out the real truth of, if you are, who you say you are, you would bring out the real truth. There's no way in the world, after watching the actions of one person out here, whether it was defense or not, and if you're representing who you say you represent, shouldn't have been no excuse for that. But if you're going to bring out or point the blame, you would kind of think that you would tell kind of what you did too. I mean, because that would paint the whole picture perfect. It would. Telling a one-sided story, in my book, has absolutely zero merit at all. Need a whole story. Need a whole story. And the truthful one. So, beauty gone to sleep. Beauty gone to sleep. Now, she says her eyes are sleepy. I'm almost there. I'm going to go up here and get this paperwork because I wrote it down. And I just want to rebuttal to that, if you guys don't mind. And if I'm boring you, it's okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ladies' night. There's I believe we should be having guests on the panel tomorrow night. So I will not have a time posted. You'll know when I go live. So set your notifications for Ladies' Night for tomorrow. So, how you doing, Priscilla? I see you. And let me start off by apologizing to you ladies, because I don't want to see you guys get called names and and like that. And I understand that you guys sit over here and have fun with me in my chat, laugh with me and things like that. But I also want you guys to keep in mind that I don't want you guys to have to be going through where people start calling you guys names. And because I just don't like it. It's like, no, let's keep this all on me. However, I do appreciate those that may stumble out of here and feel like, well, no, that's wrong. That's not true, or that's not true, because I know that you guys are using your eyes for good judgment as well. So, but I appreciate it. I do. I do, because I know you guys, for the most part, see what I see. I think for the most part that a lot of you guys understand my rebuttals and why they come and when they come and how they come. Pretty much. Pretty much. So, yeah, and like I say, a lot of people is good at it out here, and they could throw all the rocks that they want to and hide all the hands that they want to. I know, and I see the movements. I do. You guys may not see it all. So when I do come, I have my reasons to do so. I don't come without a reason. And I promise you that. No. See, I have to have a reason to come. And when you give me one, I come. And I'm seeing every bit of it. Some things I choose to just walk right on past me. I ain't studying that stuff today. Today is a more important day for me. Hey, Pooh, not that crap. Not that crap. But throwing rocks and hiding the hand, it seems to be what they do. It is what it is. But I think that I have said what I said, and I stand my ground on it. But at the end of the day, I sit back here, like I tell you guys, and just laugh. I laugh and have fun. Now, I'm finna give me 2 minutes. I got to run upstairs, get the paperwork. Now, so I'm going to read this to you guys. And I'm going to read it a second time. And I need for you guys to tell me, what would you ask yourself? What questions can you formulate out of this paragraph? Okay? So give me a second. Okay, I have it. Oh. You say the second already up? Okay, thank you, prayer, because a lot of people can't seem to decipher that. They just can't seem to separate it. I'm well aware that what I say over here, it's going to be spinned to fit another person's narrative, because that's the only way that they can get their shits and giggles, okay? I got the paperwork, boy. I got the paperwork. I got the paperwork. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, what questions would you formulate? I might as well pull the other paper out so that we can hit. Well, we'll see. I'll see how you guys feel, you know. And if you guys leave, it's okay, because I'll probably still finish this up, because I don't want to come into this tomorrow with the guest. Okay. It says here, and most of you guys have seen the paperwork go up time and time, because he wants to put a lot of expression on it. He wants to make sure that you are hearing in the paperwork exactly what he is saying his way. So the more you repeat it, and you repeat it aggressively to the people, you will have people becoming premature hypnotized. I want you to only hear what I am saying. That's it, and that's all. I don't want you to think. I don't want you to ask questions. Just hear me, because this is the truth. This is what has happened. This is why Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, according to him, is in a situation because of another party that goes by the name of Darnell Russell. Okay. And I believe at the end, when he was done, he called out two names to rebuttal on it. So I decided, you know what? Maybe I will. Then I thought about it. Maybe I won't. Because the only thing that it's going to do is bring out another challenge, you know what I mean? Or another aggressive emphasizes to his people so that it can become reality. You understand what I'm saying? Hopefully you do. Because some people are just good with it. Sometimes it'll come naturally, and some people train themselves for it. Okay? And we all know that. We're all adults. We're all adults. You all know. Says here in the paragraph, based on my review, my search for the Russell, my search warrant, speaking of the police officer, okay, for Russell's cell phone, public documents, public records for Donnell Russell's mother. I, speaking about the police officer, have also learned that on December 4th, 2018, 11 p.m., Russell mother text the Donnell Russell cell phone. She says to him, "Be humble," when in parentheses, quote unquote, when or if. Can somebody tell me in the chat, what are you thinking when you hear the words when or if? Just to clear that up. I'm going to start there. I want to see what you guys are thinking. Hi, Lavelle. Hi, Jason. What do you guys think when you hear when or if you talk to Rob? What are you guys thinking when you hear that? Okay, so I'll proceed. When I hear that, what I hear is somewhere Darnell Russell knows or have been around Mr. Kelly. That's what I get out of that. But it had been stated more than once that he don't mess with him, or either he don't know him, and other different shape, forms of fashion. That's kind of what I hear in that. Okay? Just to clear that up. So somewhere he does. You know. It is undetermined when was the last time he spoke to him or been around him, because of how Bookham puts it out here. After hearing that Mr. Kelly speaks to people individual, or, you know, whatever, when he's having his meetings or whatever the case may be, it's going to always be undetermined, because if that's the case, Bookham wouldn't even know. To my understanding, he just doesn't share a bunch of information with every single body. To my understanding, from what I've learned out here, he speaks to people individual, meaning that what he's talking to about one person, another person may not know. That's just the perception that I have received about his character from listening to quite a few people out here. So he goes on to say, let me bag it up. Be humble in substance, because I want to have this right. When, in parentheses, when or if you talk to Rob, because this is what really amplifies Bookham. He loves to put the juice on this one here, because you made another move without checking with him first. Now, I can understand his amplified voice. I can understand him, because you've made another move without checking with him first. First, I kept, what is the first move that he made? Was it, when he was speaking to the media? I don't know. I'm so many things, right? So I can remember when Donnell Russell came on, I think it was Texas TBD, I'm not sure, and he was talking about the paperwork quite a bit. And a specific person said that, well, you can give it to me, and he was like, well, no, I don't know you. And then I thought about it further ahead. Can you imagine what would have happened if that paperwork got into someone's hand that he didn't know. You have possibility of editing or, copying it, sending it out worldwide, or whatever the case may be, etc. Right? So I'm thinking that this is just me, and I could be wrong, but this is just my synopsis on this. It's like you made another move without checking with him first, right? And to me, I don't know why I feel like that if he had spoken to Mr. Kelly, and Mr. Kelly, not knowing all of the snakes in the grass around him, that Mr. Kelly would probably have a conversation with someone that could have possibly, this is just my opinion, stopped the interaction that Darnell Russell had chosen to do to help Mr. Kelly. But that's just my opinion, okay? And that's just how I feel about this here. I don't know why that's just my conscience feeling, Native. It really is. I feel that there was some things that he knew that he just couldn't tell him to help him. I feel that Donnell Russell was dead on point somewhere about figuring out who was who, or who was doing what. I do feel like, okay, he's coming up with his own plans and everything, but I cannot tell him, bad as he probably wants to. This is just me. I'm telling a story, okay? This ain't in a book. This ain't concreted or nothing like that. I'm just telling my story. That's it. That's all. Not knowing that, some things may happen or this or that. So I see a chance being taken. He gambled. That's, I see a gamble here. Because if he would have told him, and you have a person that is all around these alleged snakes that everybody is saying that is around him, I feel like that there would have been more problems there. He says that even though it was for his benefit, he doesn't put a lot of emphasis on that. He doesn't get aggressive with that statement. He only focuses in on the things that he perceived as hurting him. And where I'm from, if you can't balance the story out with the pros and the cons of it, you're doing a story to favor, in your favor, to put the perception out to the people to believe what I am saying. I am the truth. You're not allowing the people to actually decipher, to detect the balance in the story, to make up their own opinions about it. Okay? I'm just telling you guys a story. Okay? I just so happened to notice that his mother comes back and tells her son, even though it was for his benefit, and we all know what benefit means. doing it to help him. I know that you're doing this to help him, but we probably should have spoken to him about this first. But Darnell Russell chose otherwise. And until you actually hear it from Darnell Russell on why did you choose to do otherwise without talking to him, I think that Bookham truth should not just be the truth. You have to hear his truth as well. Picture it as if you were in the court of law right now. And it's the same exact thing of what you're seeing going on with the case. They presented umpteen people in the prosecution side. Mr. Kelly was advised, I believe, to not speak. So the more preponderance, repetition story that they were hearing, the jury allowed their truth to be the truth in the court of law to find him guilty. Now take it with the way Bookham presents it to everybody out here. I'm going to keep telling you, and I'm going to keep telling you, and I'm going to keep telling you. Nobody else gets to speak. Don Russell have not had his chance to say why, that he took upon himself to do this, to see whose story you will actually believe. So with me, it's not a check and balance there. And if you don't have check and balance, you have to let it fly. You don't take either side. You don't go and tell one man, oh, you're right, because of how vocal he could be and aggressive with his words, and he's persuasive, but you haven't heard the other man's truth. But yet then these are the same people that wants to sit up here to teach you and tell you what's right and what's wrong in the court of law when you're not practicing it. If you can't practice what you allegedly trying to show and teach to your people as check and balance, then somewhere your story is flawed to me. That's just me, you guys. I have also learned, this is the okay, let me not skip. He says that even though it was for his benefit, he might not approve of your actions. And I can understand that. I can understand her saying that. He may not approve of your actions. But at this point, I'm thinking that what I just said, maybe his mother is not aware, but is aware that there is so many people around Mr. Kelly. Like, hell, he can't even trust the people, or he's not knowledgeable about all of the people that is doing this corruptive behavior around him or to him. So you would think that if Donnell Russell went to sit down with him and say, hey, well, let's do this, well, let's do that. Well, if he would have done that, in my opinion, that will definitely have put connections to Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. And it would have aligned with this alleged enterprise charge of what the prosecution came with. If you would allow yourselves to think like I'm thinking when it comes to street. I'll just use the word street, right? And you know you really want to help your friend out, or your cousin out, or your brother out, or your uncle out, or your mom out, right? Some people will go off to do what they think is best to be done to help you. If they sit up and tell you that this is what I'm going to do, it ties two people together. So I don't know. I'm just guessing that separation may have been what's best, if you're thinking how I'm thinking. So I'll move on. He says that the police officer says that I have also learned about, on or about December 5th, 2018, Russell mother texts the Russell cell phone in substance. Mike calls where to tell not to mention the woman name that is assisting you. Let's stop there. He says, on or about December 5th, Russell mother had texted the Russell cell phone in substance. Mike calls. He got, she got a call, something, whatever. Where to tell, says to not mention the woman name that is assisting you. Now, after I reread that and I'm thinking, well, something is missing there in the investigation from this police officer. He never dug into the fact of who is the third party, because there's obviously a third party here. She's stating that, I was told, to tell you, don't mention the third party. So there's a further investigation that needs to be done there, or maybe not to be done there. I don't know. But there's a third party somewhere up in there. It says, don't mention the woman's name that is assisting you. This is a police officer, I'm going to say it again, that is submitting this statement, okay? Saying that he did an investigation and this is what he came across. What I can't understand with this here is that after implying this in his write-up, there was no further information about Donnell Russell, mother, being arrested. Not even a write-up or anything in the indictment or nothing about this. Because here, this police officer clearly states that, making it aware that his mother knows, but don't mention the other woman's name. But there was no charges. There was nothing brought forth. Just on that alone. Just on that alone. And I'm thinking, well, okay, well, is this real? Is this something that this police officer that just actually, just kind of wrote and made this up? I don't know. It's weird. That is assisting you. Remember, someone in Rob's circle may be a mole. Okay? Now, when I hear him elaborate on this paragraph that he loves to go in on, and it clearly says here from his Donnell Russell mother, from a write-up from a police officer. Remember telling Darnell Russell, someone in Rob's circle may be a mole. You don't never hear Bookham talk about who was the moles in that man's camp. He is okay. He's down for blaming everything on Donnell Russell. But the woman said that, remember, in Rob's circle, it may be a mole. He ain't focusing on what other moles are out there that could possibly be doing terrible damage to Mr. Calvin. Nope, just only Darnell Russell. To me, that brings uncertainty about Bookham actually knowing everything that he claims to know. Because if you are rocking 10 toes deep for your guy, you would literally be bringing those moles out. Jennifer Bonjean wrote up the best that she could do when she stepped on the scene. And the only moles, the only snakes, the only crooked fire, the only deceiving, the only terrible bad character acting started scrounging out. Here, we see that every day. She brought out the best in y'all. Because you all started pointing fingers even more harder and start telling more detailing stories, and then start talking about how I'm going to write up a grievance now because this is a whole terrorism act. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I'm entitled to them because of my perception. And the last time that I checked, my eyes are on me, which helps transmit through them goddamn little brain wave nerves and stuff up there to utilize, be functional in my brain to diagnose and determine what it is that I see and nobody else. That's it, and that's all. But he won't talk about them. Who were the moles? There's obviously was some in there. Protect those. But we gonna clown on this one right here. All because it came to light about the incident, the accident, the situation that happened in that filming of the Lifetime thing about the phone call in threatening phone call. Yeah. Can't touch on nobody else's. Probably because, in my opinion, you don't know anybody else's. You're not in there. You wasn't in there to know. You wasn't in there like that. Because had you been up in there, like he said, in 1995, ripping and rumbling all through the Johnson Creek, which I find that to be not true as well, but that's not what this paragraph is about, so I'm going to keep it moving. So, give her an alias based on my participation. That I'm not quite sure if she is saying, to be honest with you guys, her participation of knowing what she knows as far as insinuating that there are moles in Mr. Kelly's circle. Maybe that's what she could have meant. I'm just really not sure. Or is she saying that, this is a young lady, or, a female that she knows very well, or something like that, and, just have her use a different name. That one I'm just not of certainty about. I'm not. But she says that based on my participation in the investigation, I believe. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, so that's not her. I'm sorry. This is the police officer who was investigating this. That's his part saying, based on my participation in the investigation. The police officer says that. Okay, now here we go. Because I was like, it's just something was weird about that. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't figure her participation. No, based on the police officer participation in the investigation, he believed that Russell mother was referring to R. Kelly when directing Don Russell to be humble. Now, this is the police officer's speculation, okay? And he speculated that off of where it says back up top, with her telling her son, Donnell Russell, in substance, there might be calls where to not to mention the woman name that is assisting. You remember, there's someone in Rob's circle, and then him with her also saying that his mother texts Russell to be humble in substance, when in parentheses, when or if you talk to Rob. So that's how you got that speculation from this police officer in his participation of investigating this situation by her mentioning Rob name in this conversation between her and her son. That's where that came from. So the police officer says that he believed that Russell's mother was referring to R. Kelly. Now, I have to ask you guys this question. Is that or is that not enough for you guys to believe that the mother must have knew Mr. Kelly, had spent some time with him and come around? I remember Don Russell said that he used to call, he called, because he give everybody a pet peeve name, mom or whatever the case may be. We know that according to a lot of paperwork out here that there was some times that she diddle-dabbed or helped with the with his taxes, or Don Russell has mentioned it. And of course you did have Sylvia come out and kind of, blasted some things about her notary license was expired to even, do some things for them. So that's kind of brought a little bit of belief about some association with Don Russell and his mother actually knowing Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. That clears that up. So he says that I'm going to start it over. This is the police officer in his participation in the investigation. He believed that Russell's mother was referring to R. Kelly when directing Don Russell to be humble. When or if you talk to Rob referring to CCI Cavante Jones, and the threat scheme described here and directing Russell to conceal the names of the woman assisting you. Now, I want to go up just a little bit to when or if you talk to Rob referring to CCI Javante Jones and the threat scheme. I had a question behind that because after knowing that a police officer did this investigation, right? Police officer did this investigation. And Bookham allegations is that Darnell Russell, one mainly, is one of the reasons, or all of the reasons, if you let him tell it, is why Mr. Kelly case exceeded or excelled. It went up, to federal over there, right? That's his admission. So this was because of Don Russell. And my question to myself, I kept asking, well, if this is a police officer that had investigated this, right? I can't, and I pondered my head with this. I don't read anything in the indictment at all. Maybe I'm missing something and I have to go back and look at it. But it doesn't clearly state in the paperwork of this police officer admission or possibly taking a stand saying that Donnell Russell or listed him as part of an enterprise. I think that the way I hear Bookham go in on this paragraph, one would think that this, in a sense, would have been all they needed to indict Mr. Cowley, the way he goes in on it. But for some apparent reason, the way he goes about it, it's nowhere in there. So he finds another way around it by implementing this plea deal thing of Donnell Russell. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I can only tell you what I believe, what my opinion may be on it. Because everybody out here has had somebody incarcerated. And we all know that there are different types of plea deals. Some of them will go in there to admit some things, plea, on themselves. To say, I don't want to do all these years, even under oath, a person is going to do what they want to do. You got liars and thieves that sits in a church. So you can raise your hand up all you want to in a court of law. And sometimes people feel that you can't catch me on this one anyway, especially if it's simple. Little petty ones, they ain't going to look into. You have some of those type of people as well. But you would think that according to the way Bookham puts it out that this is all that they would need to align Mr. Kelly's enterprise. You know what I'm saying? But he says otherwise by saying that, no, that he's not saying it that way. He's not um, um, saying anything of sort of him being up underneath the enterprise, Darnell Russell for Mr. Kelly. But here you clearly have this conversation where Donnell Russell felt the need to not check in with Mr. Kelly or tell him any sort of thing or whatever. But then his mom comes back with, well, when and if, So it was either now or you tell him later. Well, we know now that he does know. It's been all over the news. So I don't know, you guys. And that's just my opinion on the paragraph. Since he asked for a rebuttal on it, which I know, he's going to come back belligerent and, oh, that was the stupidest shit that I've heard and wah, wah, wah. And it's all because they tell you to agree to disagree. But when you try to agree to disagree, when you don't agree, you become stupid. You become illiterate when you don't see it their way. Or if they think that you are changing up their perception that they have already forced on individuals to believe without the benefit of the doubt attached to it. But that's just my opinion. No, I'm here, Native. I got it. If you have to go, I got it. Ain't nobody coming in here. They ain't coming in here, girl. We good over here. So Priscilla's here. Well, Priscilla, I think, is still here. Miss Eva's here, I think. Harlan probably somewhere in the background. Shannon may be in the background, but yeah. Other than that, we're okay. So that's just me. I wanted to read this one and get this one over with. I don't know if I want to get all into the enterprise part of it, of how my opinion is about this belligerent and erratic and hypnotic behavior about a deceased child that happened, unfortunately, 20 or 30 years ago. And okay, all right, they're here. Now, Native was asking, if there was someone here. She was probably going to try to step away, and I told her that I'm here, and there's nobody here distracting the channel. I just don't see any relevance to it. I don't see how, what's the purpose of the grievance when you have Jennifer Bunjean, who has already attacked the issue about these bad character acts. She's attacked the issue about the previous counselors. And unless a person is ready to come out and tell the facts about where all of these dangerous counselors, defense counselors, come from, and how these people have connect the dots of conspiring, there ain't nothing in my book that can be said. There's nothing else that can be said. You say you dozed off? Good night, girl. Good night. There's nothing. And I'm gonna get ready to get up out of here too, so I could get up and get my chores and things done for tomorrow so that I can be back here, and hopefully our guests will show up and we can have some fun, and it'll be educational. It's gonna be not, it'll be knowledgeable, I should say, and I hope that all would participate with it. As I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna say with it because I don't want to actually just tell everything right now. So hopefully bringing ladies night back. And I keep saying that, but I like ladies night. It was fun. Dig up some more relationship questions and have fun with that, and continue to indulge in reading the motions and as it come along and keeping up with the case. That's pretty much. You say are you working on your taxes? Ooh, good luck. I wish you luck. I wish you luck. What is this, April? I still got 2 more weeks, and then I usually head on and get it done. So no big hurry for me. But yeah, with that, Jennifer Bunching attacked everything that she feels that was appropriate to attack, and that's the last thing to attack out here, you guys. And we know that that's highly likely not gonna happen. It's too much finger pointing. And if you want another one of my opinions, and if I had a genie bottle and can turn back the head of times, if I can turn back the times on this, I would actually, I don't know, I would want to see the attorneys take the stand. I would want Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly to address his attorneys some questions. First one, so who are you? Who are you connected to? How many people did you guys bring out here to do this to me? He mentioned one thing, very important thing. He did say that 30 years was one big clue that he kept giving to us, and I kept saying, well, okay, 30 years ago, I was thinking about the Julius guy, which I don't know if he has a part or what anything. I'm talking about the years that align. Good night. And then I was thinking also about what's his name? Daragadis. I think about people of that alignment, because he said 30 years ago, and if we can go back to think about 30 years ago, he said, how could you do this to me? Like, you've been rocking with me for like 30 years, So to me, that's the teaspoon of salt that should start the flavor out here. It's salty as hell, but it should have started it. But that's just a wish that I would go every day, after all of this had gotten to this point, to think, God, I surely wish that the rules can change up. I do. I wish that the courts can change up. I think that when Judge Donnelly, and it was brought to my attention by a good friend, that when she tried to appoint him a court-appointed attorney, and this person really made me look at this and think about this. It's Judge Donnelly seen something that she couldn't say and was really trying to tell Mr. Kelly that these attorneys that you have is a no-go. You know what I'm saying? But being a judge, you can't just come out and say, that one isn't right for you, or that one isn't right for you, and that one is going on. You know what I'm saying? Let me appoint you a court appointed attorney. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. When she started seeing all of the late motions getting filed and things of now what we're seeing Jennifer Bonjean attacking, ineffective, you know. And before I go, I got something else to say. Ineffective counseling, they wasn't taking care of business. They were too tied up with other things going on, distractions and blah blah blah, and this or that. You know, the good friend of mine, after we discussed it, pointed out the importance of something that Mr. Kelly missed. I think so, Priscilla. So now that it's at this point right here, and I am going to be doing some afternoon reading before I come on, because this one I just don't know. I'm not an attorney, right? Jennifer Bonjean's fight now is for a new trial, based to get an acquittal through. Okay. I ask myself, will she get it? Will she get it? Will she win this for him? I ask myself this every day. Because if this is going to be heard by an appellate court, do you wonder if they'll ask, whose fault is that? Even though we know that she is fighting for Mr. Kelly case to be retried with the acquittal. Did you even think about whether there will be an argument based on the fact that whose fault is that? He chose those attorneys. So I'm really gonna go and read on that, and I just gotta dig up me an answer just to bring myself at ease on it. You know what I mean? Like, these are attorneys that you chose. Is it the court's fault that these attorneys did some dirty crap on him? You know what I'm saying? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? I just try to look at things from all angles. That's all. I just try to look at things at all angles. And I'm going to tell you this. This is how you will know for sure, in your belief of Mr. Kelly walking out of this high and fly, right? Instead of, because you have to reverse some things up sometimes. Instead of paying closely attention on what is sounding good and looking good to you in Attorney Jennifer Bonjean's motion, right? Instead, read it, take your notes on it, put it to the side. Accumulate your questions. Accumulate your questions as if you were the prosecution, right? And if you can't find an answer, or it doesn't make sense to the answer that you come up with what the prosecution, questions that you can come up with to try, you build yourself, let me rephrase that. You build yourself questions as if you were the prosecution off of Attorney Jennifer Bonjean's motions. And if you can't find an outlet or a win-win as a prosecution in your favor, then you will know for sure, in my opinion, Mr. Kelly will be coming home. Right now, I write them down, but it's a lot of research to be done. A lot of research to be done, For instance, like what I just brought up. Hey, K baby. For like what I just brought up, what I just mentioned to you guys, right? Do you think if they're going to argue whether if it's not our fault that this is the defense that Mr. Kelly had chosen, not knowing that he was allegedly being bamboozled? What grounds do Attorney Jennifer Bonjean, and I know I think she attached the case log to it, so I have to go back and see, and maybe I can find my answer in that case log that she attached to that paperwork. So maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. I'm gonna go and see that she attached a case log to it when she came and brought out the ineffectiveness of the previous defense for Mr. Attorney. Maybe I'll find it in there. So I got a little homework to do myself. But I just thought about that, when I was speaking to a good friend of mine, and I was kept saying, will they argue with her about, it's not our fault that this is the defense that he picked. You know what I'm saying? So I'm you have to make arguments. You have to keep making arguments and keep making arguments until you can't make any more to win a case. You have to just keep making them, because you're going to have to hit them in every freaking angle. No loopholes for the appellate to come back on. You know what I'm saying? They should be up there scratching their head by the time she get done, because it's something that they didn't think about. They're not quick on their toes with, or that got past us, or in the situations of the way Jennifer Bonjean is coming with this. But if only we could turn back the head of times. I would really love to see these attorneys on their stand with the direct questions coming from, Mr. Kelly himself. How did you really come? Names got to be told. When did you come? Who are you connected to? Who did you call to say, hey, I need you to join in on this? And who did they call? And who did they call? It's a long process, and I understand that. So, but I just wish it would do that, because the only way to get to the bottom of whether these are moles out here and ineffectiveness counseling for Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, sometimes you got to start back at the root of the evilness. You're gonna have to get a clothes clip, a clothes hanger clip, and like apply pressure to the fingers. Who, or So you say you feel that she'll give it to him because given the information she has now that has been brought out that wasn't brought out before might make her reconsider. Okay. All right. So, yeah. It's winding down. It's winding down. The case is winding down. The more the case is winding down, the YouTube circus kicks it back up. They got their own thing out here. I'm gonna put it like that. They got their own thing, and the only thing that makes you this type of person, or it makes you ugly, or it makes you dumb, or you make you stupid, is because you just haven't joined the bandwagon. I'm finished to use this brain. Something is missing. Something is missing. And when I say struggling and straddlers, he literally just showed a prime example of it. It don't take much to see a struggler and a straggler. Like you on a whole thing about terrorism, and then you on the next thing about a deceased child, and then the grievance. Strugglers and stragglers. Ain't no call for all of that. Ain't no call for all of that. And when you have that and you put the equal sign to it, it's called distractions. Period. I'm going to need you people to think about this over here. I want you to think about this over here. And then this, not what's really at hand. You'll get thrown pieces and bits of that. You know, you'll get pieces of that. But however, whenever, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I just come on here to laugh and shits and giggles on this stuff right here, but I know where my truth is. I know why I support Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. I understand a lot of people are going to want a particular type of acknowledgement, but I ain't come out here to do so. I'm not on the bandwagon. What you say and how you say it, I need a minute. Just like a goddamn home loan contract. I need a minute. I got to digest this. Let me go draw my 2 columns out, the pros and the cons. They seem to work good for me. Let me write my questions down and let me answer them. That's what works for me. Not because somebody got octave waves up to a 10 or 20. I ain't built that way to play follow along with the leader. There was only one person that I remember that was given the title the King of R&B, and I knew that I, as an individual, kept hearing that name. I kept watching the news. That's all I see. So I had to make up in my mind, let me dig into some of this stuff here, see what's going on. You know what? No, something ain't right. So when I said that I was coming out to help support Mr. Kelly as far as walking for him, showing that you will get justice, you will prevail, this something isn't right in these stories against this man, right? And that's where I knew where to leave myself at. I knew that I couldn't hire no attorneys. I knew that I wasn't going to go and try the case. My position was to sit back here and root the people on that was experienced to do so. After going through so many of them, his previous attorneys, and they all got some type of rooting when they first started out. Everybody was yay, and yay for this person, and yay for that person, until it then narrowed it down to one of leading his defense. That was Attorney Jennifer Bonjean. And the only thing you can do with that is keep prayers over that one. You just pray over it. That's it. But when you got a whole goddamn Ringley and Barney and barely was circus, whatever the other name to it, circus act going on out here. That's the process of elimination. Oh no. You got people that wanted to present themselves in a characteristical way that you should be paying more attention to me, that I am the voice, or I am the leader, and I'm this, Oh, man, nah. That would be turning my energy, turning the time that I'm able to spare to focus on his case to individuals I don't know or didn't come out here to know like that. or is not the damn celebrity. So I gave, 2 ounces of bullshit to my brain on them. What? You who? Nah, man. You signing autographs? What song you dropped? When you got gold trophies? What you got awards? Who are you? I didn't care to hear anything about because I know him or I took a picture with him or I've been to his house. We watch Mr. Kelly's personal identification get put up out here. Nobody really asked the real questions, or no, they asked. You never got the real answers on that. You all saw that man passport and his other information being put up out here. That was a no-go. Even if you did know him to that level, that was a no-go. That was proof to help put pudding on that person's name. What good was it going to do to show his passport and things like that? What good was that to help Mr. Kelly? He was already trying to prove a narrative of who he was. All I got to do is show you this. But where did it come from? How did it land in your hand? They took his passport at the courtroom. He had to turn that shit over. He turned that over. But when he turned that over, that also had to be evidence of his defense team knowing about that stuff. So my question, did it leave from the defense office, his hands, into these people out here? How the hell do these people get this man shit? Why do they have it? Somebody from his defense got that shit out here to the people at the circus. And hundreds of people paid a ticket to see it and didn't do nothing. Nothing. They over there, you the man. You the shit. How else would have had it? It's only 2 ways. Either you robbed it out his home, or somebody in the home or whatever then they got it, or it left the people who he really trusts that was running his case. And I'm going to say allegedly. I'm just saying, you guys. It's just some weird shit. It was weird shit, man. Like, wow. I don't know. But that's just, these are just my perceptions. This is what I see. I'm not telling you guys to, take my perceptions and run with them. You're your own person. You guys are your own person. I just didn't want to come out here. I don't want to. No, this stuff is like voodoo. This stuff is crazy. Stuff is crazy. I don't know, Shannon. I know, right? I don't know. It's weird. But because the lights and camera and action is so loud, I'm telling you, they hypnotic over there. The people is out here to hypnotize you. Preach it, speak it, and cover it up. That's just my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. But I am bound to believe, after reading, this motion and everything and watching attorney Jennifer Bonjean attack quite a few things, and then I'm listening to these people out here and I'm like, she got it. She's clearly separated or called out the prosecution buffoonery on the fact of they try to take his sex life and turn it into a freaking Rico. And come on, people. Like, but people don't think that, I read and all of this stuff over here. She clearly brought out Voltrex. How is it that these little few women saying that, they did this, and you got the prosecution with someone on there coming out with herp, like she's saying, what the hell is a herp? It's all in black and white. But yet then the prosecution is claiming that, all of these hundreds and hundreds of women. But, well, hell, if he was on this preventive called the Voltrex, then where the other herp people? It just jumped. It just jumped around. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it was. She hit pretty much everything. She hit pretty much everything. So, it's crazy, right? It was something else that I saw in here, and then I'm going to go. Where is it? Oh, here it is here. Come out here to ask like any of the people their opinions on much of anything, because I can sit over here and make my opinions. I didn't want to ask them no questions or none of that. After you watch a few people and you listen to other people ask the questions, and all they do is give you the runaround on simple questions. Nah, I can't mess with you. Not at all. Nope. She talked about the inadmissible propensity of evidence. Instead of arguing about some goddamn allegations of some darn terrorism or whatever, unless you're speaking about his previous defense doing terrorism acts against Mr. Kelly. And there's a little bit something more important to be talking about and to be arguing about. The inadmissible. Why did she bring up the inadmissible propensity evidence? Why? You saw the repetitions of all of these stories. You saw how, oh my God, they're trying to repeat some things that they saw off of the Lifetime docuseries. They ran that whole court aligned to that fictitious Lifetime crap. You saw the fact that how they were bringing in old testimonies or something that sounds similar to the Chicago, to the 2002 through the 2008 trial. You hearing it? You hearing it? Let's talk about this Aaliyah thing and how that girl says that she's seen so-and-so. Bonji hit that too. By making it definitely knowledgeable how this girl was probably coerced into coming in here and speaking that. Let me read it to you right quick. She says that in, what's the girl name here? Angela's. She used Angela's testimony. It was not relevant under the means and methods theory since it purportedly occurred pre-Enterprise. This court seemed to recognize this fact, but nonetheless concluded that Angela's testimony that she witnessed sexual interactions between defendant and Aaliyah, she witnessed it, provided the motive for the defendant's racketeering act of bribery. What she is saying that their prosecution, in order to bring more circumstantial evidence to push this bribery case that they attempt to charge him with, that they went and found and let this woman, Angela, testify on something sexually about it. Basically, she witnessed interaction between the defendant and Aaliyah. But she provided provided the motive for the defendant's racketeering act of bribery. They needed to talk about, she needed to come in and talk about Aaliyah's sex life to help push the case out that equated with what's that man's name? What's that man's name? The one that said that he went to get the marriage thing. My mind went blank just that fast. Demetrius. Defendant respectfully disagrees on this point. Who is the defendant? You all know. The prosecution presented testimony about defendant's alleged motive for marrying Aaliyah through Demetrius Smith, who expressly stated that the defendant told him that Aaliyah, in trouble, thought she was pregnant. Smith elaborated that the defendant believed that he needed to marry Aaliyah to protect himself from going to jail. Graphic testimony, this is Angela's turn, because they knew that they were going to use Demetrius to come in there and talk about this marriage thing. Well, what other picture do you need to prove that it was a type of marriage going on? How can we finish painting this picture? Is what Attorney Jennifer Bonjean is saying. We're going to bring this one in. After he talks about the marriage, we got to get somebody in there to talk about the sex life, the sex style, who he sexed, and what perfect person for them to use. This Angela girl who claims that she saw it. Woo, child. Graphic testimony from a third party about seeing defendant and Aaliyah engaging in sexual relations. It added nothing more to the motive than defendant's own admission and the fact that he married Aaliyah. Whatever probative value Angela's testimony had on this point was substantially outweighed by its prejudicial effect. As such, it was error to allow. What does error mean? I like to say by fault, or you can say F up if you want to do ghetto. It was error to allow Angela to testify about her alleged observations on the tour bus in 91. So, as far as I'm going with that, I'm not getting into the Addie and the Alex and the Kate and the Anna. Yeah. You guys know that whole story on that part, but yeah, they overreached in this case desperately. desperately. And if only this case, which we know we don't want to see that happen, but they need at least a whole nother year because it's got to bag up. You know what I'm saying? It's got to bag up. This stuff has to rewind. Where did the counselors go wrong? Why did they feel the need to do this to this guy? Who allegedly paid who to do this to this guy? Yeah. Why did the prosecution reach so far and beyond of what the Mann Act was intended to do and be for? To whom it should have applied to? So questions. She's attacking Rule 403. She's attacking, she's brought a forementioning of Rule 29. She talks quite a bit about this inadmissible propensity of evidence, as well as the prejudicial propensity evidence. And that is used, and I'm going to tell you guys what that means. Is it creates an easy and acceptable belief in the prosecution case. Preponderance of bad character acts. Just went on and on and on and on. Where did his defense team fail him at? By not objecting, contesting what the prosecution was bringing in this courtroom. Nope, that's not, or yep, okay, we will, or nope, or yep, no. And furthermore, missing a bunch of deadlines. All of this goddamn conflict of interest at the beginning of this showdown on this man. Yes, it was all unacceptable. We know that. But the main question to this one is why? Why did they do this to him? Why was Attorney Greenberg allowing so much stuff to be admissible? Where was all of his arguments at? This case was not about an enterprise. She says that it was about the conduct of one man who the government sought to punish for his alleged history of mistreating women. There were a case of bad act evidence offered in this prosecution was nothing more than inadmissible propensity evidence. She brought forth of how a lot of this inadmissible propensity evidence got through. And she believed in her line of work and to bring it forth, to come alive, was that his previous attorneys failed him on their job. This was their job, to dig into it, to contest, to object, and do timely work in his favor, and they failed him. So What more can you say? I mean, she's attacking it, She really is. Defendant's trial was little more than a reenacted actment of the One Side docuseries Surviving R. Kelly, which several of the jurors had viewed before stepping into the courtroom. Did the did Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly's attorney dig further into these jurors? To my understanding, they allow them to take the stand, to have a seat. Jennifer Bonjean didn't think that that was okay for them to do. That's all. She bold printed her relevant facts. Hopefully, it will carry some weight for her to proceed with a new trial for Mr. Kelly. She says that in the 2 months preceding the start of the defendant's trial, his defense team, and I'm pretty sure you all can name who was his defense team, were. And stop there for a second, because I heard somebody, voicing that his defense team, allowed this person and this person and this person, and I didn't hear him mention another person's name who should have been mentioned, and he didn't mention his name. When she says that there was a conflict, or there was distractions, and when he says that, these terrorism people, and they did all of this and they did all of that, and this is why his defense could not perform a job for Mr. Ross Kelly, and they was into this, and he forgot to mention one person's name. We didn't need to know whether if it was good intentions of speaking with a person or bad intentions of speaking with the person. The question is, who all had associated themselves around his defense attorneys? Doesn't matter whether if they were good or they were bad. Leave that out the equation and name all of these people, every single one that we have heard that had some type of association, which appeared to be a close association with this man's attorney from the YouTube street. Do that. Leave out whether if they did it good or they did it bad. Just name them all. And I promise you, you're going to be missing one name. For some apparent reason, I don't know why, you're going to miss one name. Yeah, missed it already. But she says that his defense team was focused on fighting one another, preoccupied with litigating a crucial hearing on account of his attorney's disabling conflict of interest. Not surprisingly, the defendant's trial team, they wasted valuable time, resources focused on this side circus. Now, I'm wondering if that's what he's implying, if that's what he is elaborating on when she says this side circus. Now, and to cure my wondering oscopy, which is not a word, but I'm just going to use it anyway. Yeah. To cure me, the defendant's trial team. Who was his defendant's trial team? She says that they wasted valuable time and resources focused on this side circus. Is he implying that his defense team focused too much on individuals from the YouTube streets? Or is he implying that they argued amongst themselves about YouTube streets? And if not, then did something privately occur between themselves about who was going to lead his case? It's either or. Pick your struggle. Because according to this, it seems to appear in her statement that they had some situations going on with themselves, and the allegation about Attorney Becker, closeness to the two ladies. I could have sworn that I saw Joy at the courthouse with the white or Caucasian, whatever she is, Caucasian, what, I don't know what she was, attorney. She had her own attorney. So whoever put the information out about Attorney Becker attaching herself to these two ladies to make it appear that she was defending them as well, which caused this conflict between her and her client, Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly. In my humble opinion, I do believe that someone intentionally did that to her. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. To stir up trouble. Because there was a entanglement going on about who should be leading what I will be doing, and who I will be cross-examining, and this or that. That's what I see into this. But you now have the YouTubers, the bloggers, now stating that it could possibly mean that the side circus of people that caused this conflict of interest has something to do with terrorism outside the terrorism coming from the YouTube streets. So, I don't know. Rather that preparing a strategy for defending the case, they spent too much time. They were focused on this side circus. I'm going to read this one because I found this paragraph interesting too. At the defendant's request, this court had granted an extension for the filing of motions in Lyman until July 23rd. On July 23rd, 2021, the government filed a whopping 55-page motion seeking to admit a heap of prior bad act evidence. Okay? Then the defense counsel filed no motions in the line. Incredibly, she says. The defense counsel failed to preclude any uncharged act evidence. The defense counsel filed no motions in the line. The defense counsel failed to preclude any uncharged bad act evidence. But here comes along Jennifer Bonjean and files a boatload of bad act evidence. Now, how do you have two attorneys and one can distinguish bad act evidence, but the other one couldn't? Or did the other one see it, but just didn't even care about filing on it or not? Yeah, it's okay. We're going to let it go. When I say that they need, this is my opinion again, to bring back and put them previous attorney on that stands and allow Attorney Jennifer Bonjean to question their ass, we can see that she's put it in her write-up. So my next question would be, is it against the law of what they did to Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly being legal defense attorneys? Was it legal what they did to him? And if it's not, because what they did was go up in a courtroom under the law, under the bar law, supposed to be defending their client. Their client. He became their client. None of them probably did this for free. I'm sure somebody got paid. Is it against the law what they did to him? And who should be bringing charges up against him? Did this get reported to the bar? Is this something that the Bar Association can get down to the nitty-gritty to figure out, you guys went up in there unethical? You guys took on a high case like this, and you didn't go in there to do things according to defeat the prosecution. You basically just agreed and allowed the prosecution to run whatever show that they wanted to do. It's like they was in an agreement with the prosecution on everything. I know a lot of people was angry with Judge Donnelly, in my opinion, because she can't say too much. She's just in there as a judge. But when she tried to bring in Mr. Kelly, a court-appointed attorney, until some things got looked into or some things gotten shapen up, Mr. Kelly, you need to remove some people. Something isn't going right. Let me appoint you a court-appointed attorney. I think you're going to need one right now. This is the judge up there. Nope. Didn't happen that way. 55-page motion seeking to admit a heap of prior bad act evidence, but the defense counsel filed no motions in the line. Incredibly, the defense counsel failed to preclude any uncharged bad act evidence that was produced as part of the government's 3,500 materials. I guess I should say 3,500. Sounds better that way. On July 30th, 2021, the defense counsel filed a written objection to the government's motion in Lyman regarding the introduction of prior bad act evidence, largely on timeliness grounds. Maybe when they was on the phone call arguing about the darn defense money is when they lost track of time. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe it was that day that he was talking about how much money was in there. That was the day that he was probably supposed to be filing some shit. I don't know. Timely. I don't know. The response contained a general objection. Just general. Did you hear what Attorney Jennifer Bonjean just said? That took like 2 seconds to do. That's all they needed to do was 2 seconds of their time. And then they could have continued on with the phone call about the defense fund. But no. She says that all that they had to do was contained a general objection to the evidence as untimely with no meaningful relevancy. Objections or Rule 403 analysis. Inexplicably, defense counsel did not even seek a continuance of the trial to investigate these alleged surprise witnesses, but merely asked the court to strike them. That means barely. Barely. Anyways, it's late. I gotta get up and do my Saturday chores. It is what it is. I don't see what they're saying. I don't understand. Well, no, I'm not going to say understand because I do understand the Circus Act. I do. The proposal of this alleged grievance, where is it going to fit in at? She's pretty much even attacked the already said a grievance that is being, in my opinion, fictitiously made up. I don't know if it's true or not. And at this point, I don't give a damn. You know? I don't, you know, it's like no big words. It was funny hearing it, though. You know, it's like, huh? But then to have a straddling, preponderance amount of accusations is absurd. It is hideous. It is not functional. It does not align with the purpose that you are bringing forth. That's my opinion, and I am sticking to it. It has no merits, especially when you bring a forementioning of 3 goddamn straggling stories. A deceased baby. You want to talk about terrorism. And you want to talk about the attorneys as well. There are 3 stories. Are the attorneys, his previous attorneys, were they the terrorism? Were they doing terrorism act? The YouTube characters out here doing terrorism act that unfortunately every time one or the other tells the story, they leave one or the other names out. So in my precluding ending of this show today, and I'm just here with an opinion. You ain't got to run with it. You ain't got to use your own brain. Yep, you have a blessed night too, Shannon. I'm out of here as well. I'll see you guys, if God's will, and you choose to join the ladies' night tomorrow for the guests. You'll know when I'm live. So set your notification button out there. Hit the like, the share, subscribe button. Don't forget to go over and subscribe to the One Papoose channel. Don't forget to go and check out my One Papoose grind store. All of that good things out here. And we'll pray for Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly as the games continues. But the cement has been poured. Jennifer Bonjean, all she got to do now is just crack it open and bring out the real stuff and go and get her goddamn new trial and bring Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly home on an acquittal. With that be said, y'all have a beautiful night. I'm out.